if we consider the last 3 to 5 years, we have a clear evolution regarding the type of systems that we are developing in common with NVIDIA as our main jointly player. And we have been able to develop server models that are directly designed to shoot this type of a solution.
Well, thank you. Some introduction. So when I agreed to do this, I had 2 questions. One was, please don't make me do this right before lunch when everybody's hungry. So here we are, right before lunch. And I said, give me something easy to do. And here we are, where we have to talk about the future of AI. Well, that's a good introduction. So please welcome Jesús and Ignacio from SUMPERMICRO and NVIDIA, who can talk to us about the future of AI. And I really hope make my job a little bit easier and talk to you about the opportunities that AI has for small business.
Thank you.
Thank you. We only have one of these. You're going first, I think, and
Yep.
Shall we sit down?
So, let's start. What is all this about? We are going to speak about the fundamentals of AI and how SUMPERMICRO is taking the approach on all these new needs that we have in these times. You also know very well about the popularity of AI solutions, especially the development of LLM models that are quite famous right now. So we are going to check the evolution to our actual status, the core of our so-called fourth industrial revolution is AI. So we are a key part regarding the development of all the suitable solutions that we'll need to deploy regarding all the requirements that we have. It is quite famous, the development of the generative artificial intelligence, as you will know. But the fact is that this has been popularized by the development on GPT, mostly, and many other LLM models that have started to grow exponentially. That means that the infrastructure that shall be deployed needs also to be adapting to all these necessities. So if we consider the last 3 to 5 years, we have a clear evolution regarding the type of systems that we are developing in common with NVIDIA as our main jointly player. And we have been able to develop server models that are directly designed to shoot this type of solutions. There are 2 facts, 2 different approaches. We are starting to build AI factories that are the new core of the AI business, but we also need to keep in mind the classical development on cloud approach regarding the data center infrastructure. In both scenarios, SUMPERMICRO is a key player, of course, always by the hand of NVIDIA. We have 3 different approaches regarding the infrastructure, regarding the hardware, that are mostly based on building blocks. That will be the traditional approach based on a standard server that might be customized to add all that requirements that we need on an AI environment. But the differential really is the approach with all the custom solutions that are based on NVIDIA architecture. I'm speaking about AGX that combines SMX architecture and NVLink of 5th generation. We have another portfolio of dedicated solutions that are jointly engineered with NVIDIA. That is our MGX portfolio of solutions. You will know for sure the proprietary development of MGX that are based on NVIDIA superchips. I'm speaking about Grace Hopper and later on what it is going to be transformed into Grace Blackwell. And later this year, we have a new architecture that it is coming to the market and will be sold from the start of next year. That will be a changer related to all the core infrastructure. This one is the Blackwell architecture with the new GPUs, mostly B200. And of course, we need to provide the according solutions to be able to deploy at great scale to all the newest data centers that have another type of challenges that are coming with this, like, for example, the optimization of temperature, cooling, etc. We have the possibility to offer liquid-cooled solutions that will be able to provide an optimal layer of thermal regulation and ventilation, and also optimize the consumption, because these type of systems are very power hungry. This is the new core element of the new AI factories. It is the unit of compute that is rack-based mostly, and that can be adapted to a parallel solution based on liquid cooling. But none of this can be done if we do not consider the implementation of a full solution that it is based on the full stack of NVIDIA applications. For example, we will need to coordinate all the infrastructure with the deployment of NVIDIA AI enterprise software. So I will hand over to my colleague, Nacho.
Thank you. Thank you, Jesus. Yeah, I'm Ignacio Sarasua. I'm a solutions architect at NVIDIA. And as Jesus just rightfully said, there's a lot of work that is going on the hardware layer, or layers, I would say, which are very, very important since we want to be able to scale up and so on. However, as he just said, there's no way this would work without all the software on top. I'm pretty sure most of you know about the difference that NVIDIA made compared to other competitors, about how CUDA came out, and this was kind of the key factor for being like the main player in the AI race, if I should say so. But then on top of that, NVIDIA has been building a lot of software solutions for different partners and industries. You have here some examples, but what I want to highlight is the name of NVIDIA AI Enterprise that Jesus just mentioned. So what is NVIDIA AI Enterprise? It's kind of self-explanatory in a way. It's all our solutions we have in terms of software for enterprise, of course, right? So you can think of, still audio is good. So you can think of the end result, of course. You can think of like many solutions for, let's say, speech, biomedical applications, whatever. However, the key point of this is actually the bottom part of the slide, whereas we are making sure that everything you're building together with us, using our software, is going to be secure. You're going to have support all the way. Also, if you're deploying this in a big cluster, which you probably will, there's also handling like the cluster management and so on. And also, it's definitely optimized for any infrastructure, and therefore, it's also easy to put into production. Okay. In particular, and a good example that I always like to talk about when I talk about NVIDIA Enterprise is one of our latest, let's say, products within NVIDIA Enterprise. You might have heard of them, which is called NVIDIA, or NIMS, which is NVIDIA Inference Microservice. So if you think about how people used to do things and how people do right now, right before you would train your own model, right, for your own data. However, I'm pretty sure if anybody here has been working on AI, you might take let's say a Llama 3 model and adapt it to whatever you do, right? So this is kind of the idea, right? You have a particular foundation model, that would be Llama 3 in my example. You have some domain-specific data from your company, and then you try to build a custom model. Well, what if we could actually make that custom model be optimized for inference? Let's say make it very, very fast when you put it into production. That's basically what a NIM is. So we built NIMs from all the enterprise models you can think of. Llama, Mistral, many from Google as well. So we have a lot of NIMs. And what it is basically, we take the model. I'm going to go from top to bottom. So we just put that model in a container. But we not only do that, we actually optimize it for inference using all our libraries that we have. Some of you have heard of TensorRT, LLM. So we make sure it's actually optimized for inference. We make sure that we also use whatever libraries or software we need for that particular domain. And then we make sure that it's easy to expose through typical APIs. This is huge and this is very easy to use. I've built many applications doing this and many examples because at the end of the day, it's just, you can, every time you change one name to the other, you only need to change the actual name, but the calls and everything of the API are the same. And on bottom of that, of course, we help you also with deployment. So if you're planning to deploy this in a Kubernetes cluster, we also give you the Helm charts for that. And for sure, it's going to be accelerated for GPU because that's what we do, right? You have many, many NIMs of many, many types of use cases, all from, of course, text, as I was saying, on Llama, but you can also talk about speech, visual, I don't know, you have even a digital human, of course, computational biology as well. So we have many, many examples there, okay? However, and also, by the way, I'm not sure it's here, yeah, you can all test the catalog, you can check the catalog on ai.nvidia.com, okay? We also, so this is great, and I love the NIMs. However, as I was saying earlier, the NIMs are done for the data that, I don't know, let's say Meta trained them on, right? Sometimes you want to adapt them. So there's this whole cycle within NVIDIA Enterprise that we also help within a whole cycle of adapting a particular NIM to your own data. And this is something that doesn't stop on the first iteration, right? You might get new data, you might want to adapt and so on. So it's important you have all those tools to build those very cool applications. And we have a particular tool called Nemo, which is kind of like a collection of tools, which will help you with those things, okay? I'm not going to go into detail enough of slides for the sake of time and also because of lunch, but just you get the picture, right? Here we have some examples of companies that are already using these solutions to build more complex solutions and to help their business, all the way from medical solutions to telco. We also have like factory solutions, even some design or marketing solutions, and even some more like retrieval solutions for, so in the case of Siemens, for example, is more to like check documentation with a chatbot. Also, one thing we notice is sometimes the client doesn't know what they need. So what we also build is what we call agent blueprints, which are nothing but a combination of different NIMs that interact with each other. So you have some use cases. So we have a digital human that you can use on your customer service. You also have one for extracting data from PDFs, but not only text, but also multimodal. So let's say if you have some graphs and some plots there, it will also understand those plots. We also have computational biology, and this keeps coming. Actually, right before I came to this presentation, I checked, and there's a new one that I hadn't even checked, okay? So we have many of those. And yeah, I think like that's mostly it. I think I can hand it to Jesus for like the last slides.
Thank you. Well, just to highlight that we have the possibility to offer the complete solution, that it is intended to integrate all the NVIDIA stack with the desired hardware platform. So I only wish to give thanks to our partner, Memorial Solutions, for the invitation of to this event. And just to remark that we are the second IDC server vendor just published several months ago, and we are able to provide whatever solution that it is related to each type of artificial intelligence workload that it is required. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Nacho and Matt.
Jesus, Ignacio, thank you. My apologies. In the introduction, I failed to mention we do have a Q&A. And if you, like me, are wondering, how do we stay at the forefront of AI? What does it mean for your business, for my business, for all businesses? Then I think we're very privileged to have someone from NVIDIA and someone from SUMPERMICRO here on stage to take and answer any questions. Think of some questions. Can I just get a show of hands? Who here is an MSP? A few. Who is a cloud service provider? A few more. Any VARs? So a decent cohort and mix. do you stay awake at night thinking about AI and how it's going to impact your business? That's just me? Okay. Well, I do have some questions. But first, I'd like to invite the audience to ask some questions. And my friend Jeff here has a microphone. If you have any questions about anything AI, NVIDIA...
Would you mind if I kicked it off?
Please.
You know, I saw you referenced NIM, N-I-M at the top, right? And, you know, I was just reading, believe it or not, because I'm kind of a geek, I was reading about that over the weekend. Could you define that a little bit better? Because it's kind of like an all-in-one package, yes?
Yeah.
Could you define it better? Because
Sure.
I'm curious, I'm sure they are too.
Sure. I mean, I'll have that as a backup slide, just in case. Yeah, sorry for rushing through those. So a NIM is nothing but a very, very dope, to say, container, in a way. So basically what we take is a model. We make sure that it's optimized for inference. This takes a long time sometimes to do, so we actually work a lot with make sure that we optimize those models, so Llama and whatnot. We optimize with our libraries for inference. We containerize it in a Docker container that you can later actually use, you can download, and then you can host within your, let's say, cloud service provider or whatever. It's compatible with like AWS and all the Azure, Google Cloud, and you name it. It's nothing but that. You can also test them for free on our endpoint. So if you go to NVIDIA, so I think here, if you go to build.nvidia.com, there you have the steps on how to actually test these NIMs without having to like download the container, but on our let's say services. Okay, so it's kind of like we give you the endpoint and you test it. Of course, for a limited amount of time/credits. But yeah, is it a bit more clear or still as confusing?
You know, you're progress, but you know, is it true? I'm kind of understanding that it's really not just hardware. It's hardware and software kind of all wrapped in together.
That's true. So the NIM is actually a software solution. It's not a hardware solution.
Right.
So then your NIM will run anywhere you want, basically. I mean, of course, some caveats, right? It's not going to run on your CPU. But what I'm saying is, it's something that you can download wherever you want, and it's supposed to be quite agnostic to whatever. If it's like a cloud service provider, if it's your cluster, like let's say international lab or whatever. So it's a software solution for our models, but it's of course optimized for a particular, all the hardware stack. So basically, on that slide, we make sure that the part that is not software, so we're actually still software, but we make sure that those gray, blue, and yellow layers are also, we are taking care of also helping you with those, even though they are not part of, let's say, the optimization of the software, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. So if to translate this into Jeff speak, because I'm not quite as bright as half of these guys, so you could take and run a NIM and then just stick it on the hardware that's most appropriate for the workload. So if you were trying to, say, optimize your power consumption in your data center, you could take and set up a NIM for that. If you were going to try to optimize your back office, you could set up a NIM for that, and the underlying hardware and model might be different, but the NIM provides the container to hold it all.
Exactly. So it's basically, think of like if you've ever used Docker containers for running any models or like in software, it's the same idea, right? You will be able to run that Docker almost everywhere. Of course, you have like some CUDA versions and and not. But that's the idea, that you just download it. There's all the steps to like, let's say, expose it through like an API, and then you'll be able to do calls to your API that are actually running at your computer. That's the idea of a NIM, basically.
Very helpful. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for the question.
I don't want to dominate. Does anybody else have a question that's not related to their stock price? It was a joke. Nobody laughs? It was funny. It was funny, yes? Yeah, it was pretty good. Okay.
5 out of 10.
Anybody else have a question?
While we wait for some questions, could we go back to that early slide on the next industrial revolution, please? Because that really stuck in my mind. I think it was slide 4 or 5.
Okay, that's one of it.
Right at the start.
Here, right?
Next one. There we go. Like, again, I feel privileged to be here on stage in front of you when we are at this inflection point, this turning point. AI is going to be changing everything. So I have a couple of questions related to this to maybe warm you guys up. AI today runs on the GPU. Are we going to see the GPU become an ASIC? Are we going to see AI workloads go on specific circuitry and chips that might be more power efficient or better at doing AI? Or do you believe that the GPU is going to be the beating heart of AI models moving forward?
I mean, I think it's really hard to predict, right? I mean, you've seen companies that are actually trying to think of other types of chips, alternatives to the GPU to run these workflows. And the future will tell. I don't know. Like I cannot. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people working on the hardware and optimized hardware. We already see it. I'm not, of course, going to name competition, but we already see a lot of companies that try to come up with other chips. Now I think the idea is also moving a bit out of that race and make sure that whatever you're building on top serves that, like whatever this revolution is coming with, right? So that's why I'm very focused on the application layer rather than the hardware layer, which, don't get me wrong, it's very, very important, and I really appreciate engineers doing that. But I think the revolution is going to come more from the software and the applications rather than the actual hardware itself.
Thank you. And again, just rereading the slide, you are hearing this number from the forefront of AI, the impact on the global economy at $15 trillion. I mean, A, I think that's very hard to predict, but B, wow, what a number. So has anyone thought of questions on AI, the impact to the MSP, the cloud service provider? Any questions from the audience?
Sir?
Jeff, can you pick on somebody?
I thought of another question, if you want to hear it.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, so the historical example. Nobody worried about Macintosh from a cybersecurity perspective because they were the small ball. But now that Apple's a big ball, everybody has to worry about cybersecurity. So now GPUs and AI are becoming big ball, right? It's main stage, right? So are we worried about cybersecurity threats creeping into either the hardware or the software layer?
That's a very good question. We're definitely worried, and that's why we definitely work a lot towards that. So I think I showed it. So we will for sure, like all the software that we're building with NVIDIA Enterprise, we make sure that it's up to a standard of security. Now, don't ask me what's that standard, because I don't work on that part of the business. But we make sure that we take it very seriously, because we understand that, as you said, people are watching, right? So it's not like it's where, as you said, we are like the small player, nobody knows what we're doing. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you remember, but I mentioned that there was a new agent that I just checked before coming up. So actually that agent is that by checking if there are breaches of security within your containers. So it's kind of like a meta thing, because you download the container to check if there are actually breaches in the container. But that's the thing, we actually have even agents that will help you check if there are any breaches on your security. So we definitely take it seriously, and we know it's very important, particularly because some of this data, it's like sensitive data, right? We're working with also like medical partners and so on. So we take it very seriously.
Wonderful, thank you. Appreciate that. Anyone else have a question for our panel today?
We'll also be around, so if you're shy now to ask questions, just stop us at a coffee break and tell us.
Does NVIDIA have a booth here?
I believe we do. I don't know. I'm actually not sure if we do. I think we are going to be at
Memory Solutions.
Memory Solutions.
And if you want to consult with us or visit the partner and view some assets, we will be very helpful.
So just to recap, Memory Solutions has a booth in the exhibit hall. Come and find Memory Solutions and SUMPERMICRO and NVIDIA there if some questions arise. You, like me, might want to know the best time to buy NVIDIA stocks, so...
I don't know. If I knew, I probably wouldn't be here.
Great. Well, let me extend my thanks to Ignacio and Jesus for the presentation. I hope everybody found that interesting and useful. Jeff, back over to you.